Boom! What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Saturday to you all, and welcome to another live beer review. Today, we're going to be taking a look at another beer from Hoosier Brewing Company. They're out of Indiana. I think it was Greenwood, Indiana, if I remember correctly. Let me look here again. Is it Greenwood, Indiana? I could be a little bit off, but I know there's the word green in there. Yep, Greenwood, Indiana. So, I've had a couple beers from Hoosier Brewing before. When it comes to most, okay, I'm gonna be honest here. They've all been sours. They have all been sours. I don't think I've ever gotten my hands on any like their IPAs or anything like that. But the sours that I've had for them have been pretty damn delicious. And today, I'm hoping this one kind of continues the trend, just because after a couple of the fruited sours I've had from these guys, I've kind of put them on the map as being a good brewery when it comes to making like the heavy kind of smoothie pastry sours and all that stuff. And that is exactly what we got here today, because we got one from their pie face line, which is their peach cobbler. And I don't know if I reviewed one of their pie faces before. I don't think I have. But I reviewed some of their other fruited sours, and they've been pretty fantastic. And I've had one other of their pie face sours. I think it was like a coconut cream pie one, or something like that, and it was delicious. So with this one, I'm expecting some pretty damn delicious cobbler flavors out of this one, because especially if they're doing the same thing like how Drecker does it with their Slang de Jour line, when it kind of be in that kind of cobbler kind of situation. Actually, I'm trying to think, is it the Slang de Jour or the... Yeah, I think it's the Slang de Jour. That's their kind of cobbler kind of line. So, knowing that I've had some experience with like cobbler flavors in pastry sours before, I'm hoping this one's going to be absolutely delicious, because peach cobbler just sounds absolutely amazing. And of course, when you're handling this kind of style of beer, there's a couple pointers and tips that I want to kind of let people know about, just in case if they have never experienced this kind of style of beer before, because it's definitely different than your normal everyday beer drinking experience. Of course, when you purchase one of these, you're going to want to make sure it's refrigerated at all times, just because there's heavy amounts of fruit puree in there, and there's possibly a chance to where if you don't leave it refrigerated, sitting at room temp, the stuff can continue to ferment and continue to build up CO2 inside of the can, which will cause you opening it and bursting a little bit. I've had some times where I've kept it in the fridge the entire time, and it still is kind of foamed over on me. So that's just one recommendation, of course, that I give off, just because to kind of just make sure that you're doing all your things in line. And second of all, when you're taking it out of the fridge, give it a couple rolls in the countertop, just back and forth, slow rolls in the countertop, just get everything that was sitting on the bottom. That's usually over time, all the kind of heavier stuff sits at the bottom, and when you're rolling it, you're kind of getting everything suspended in there all over again. And then, of course, what I like to do when I'm bringing it over to where I'm going to be drinking it, I just bring it to me like that, because all the stuff that you can guarantee all the stuff that is sitting at the bottom is going to start circulating through and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, this one comes in at a 6% ABV, so not really a high ABV when it comes to this kind of pastry sour. I wasn't really expecting a high ABV. I'm just hopefully expecting some really, really nice peach flavors, a little bit of tartness, of course, to it being a sour. But without further ado, I think it's time for us to crack this thing open and see what it's all about. But always as a precaution, I always recommend, just as if you're going to be drinking one of these, if you have the opportunity to open it over a sink or something to where it's not going to get on a carpet or anything like that, highly recommend doing so. But for me, while doing a review on it, I put a towel down just in case if little hairs from the dog on my arm, don't mind me. Come on. But if you are going to be drinking this to where you don't have a sink available, just put it over somewhere where it's not going to get messy and all that kind of stuff. So I put a towel down. So let's crack this thing open and see what we get on this guy. But I'm going to be precautious. So, and we are good on this end. No foaming over happened, but this thing is full to the brim. And right off the bat, first notes I'm getting, definitely getting a nice tart kind of peach flavor coming through. Not really getting much of the cobbler on the nose, which I don't want to say I'm not surprised, but I'm expecting most of the cobbler like spice flavors that you're going to get in this one are definitely going to be on the palate and not on the aromas. They've most likely slightly hopped it, because of course any beer you're using a little bit of hops in there for aromas and all that kind of stuff. But overall, yeah, on the nose it smells pretty light. So take that for what it is. I'm going to be drinking this out of my Deciduous Beer Co. little sour glass this afternoon. Let's pour this thing and see what it's all about. Oh yeah. This is definitely a thick one, that's for sure. It's definitely starting to pour pretty thick. Of course, I like to pour a little bit, give it a good swirl, and then pour the rest of it, get all the stuff in there. Definitely has a really no head to this whatsoever. When it comes to a pastry sour, I don't want to say that's something to expect, but a lot of the times they're not putting a lot of pressure in there to make a lot of carbonation come through. But because you just want those natural fruit flavors to come through and not be. They want to promote the creaminess and not have like heavily carbonation going through it and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's poured. So let's give this guy a try and see what it's all about. So cheers, everybody. Happy Saturday. Yeah, definitely the peach flavors you're getting in this one are nice and tart. There's definitely an upfront peach tartness, of course. Peach has a little bit of tartness usually. But then on the back end, things start getting sweet. Definitely getting those pastry kind of spices coming through and the cobbler spices coming through. I'm surprised how much like you get upfront peach, like nice tart peach, and then it kind of just lingers into this nice kind of pastry cobblery kind of dessertiness coming through. So the peach is very, very like it hits you up front, but then it goes away super quick, which I'm not really that upset about. To be honest, I like the cobbler flavors. I like that because it's not like it's any watered down kind of flavors that you're getting with this one. Like with some kind of maybe some kettle sours might give you a feeling of being watered down. You're not getting, because those have like a different fermentation method and how you sour the beer is a little bit different from like a fruited sour to a kettle sour. So, but overall the flavors on this one are really, really nice. Definitely refreshing. Nice upfront tartness, which is nice. So yep, the tartness I'm already feeling in my eyes, kind of like on the back of the eyes. The eyes start to want to squint a little bit because of the tartness, but overall, flavors are really nice on this one. Definitely really, really nice. So let's see here. Let's go over to Untapped and let's see what they show on a similar beers list. And what I noticed while looking at the similar beers with this one, with it being a cobbler style of beer, I'm very, very surprised that they didn't have any of the Slang de Jures on here, or like the peach cobbler Slang de Jure, to be on the list as a similar beer. So what they're showing here, they have one from Drecker Brewing Company, which is the Strawberry Pert Colada, which is their Pert line, is another fruited sour line that they do, which I wouldn't put the Pert kind of one in any kind of realm of being anywhere near this, just because that line I would say is going to be more similar to the Brains line, to where it's mostly fruit puree in there. They're not really adding any like spices or all that stuff to make it dessertier and all that stuff. So I'm really, really surprised that none of the Slang de Jure showed up as a similar beer. But we got one here from Left Hand Brewing Co., which is their Key Lime Pie Nitro, which is more of like, this looks like a little bit more of a kettle sour to me. I'm not sure if this is going to be something that's going to give off those pastry kind of flavors. Of course, it's a tropical sour ale with lactose, lime, vanilla, and cinnamon. So maybe have a little bit of those flavors, but I don't think the mouthfeel is going to be anywhere near this. I'm wondering if this, see, I've never thought if it's saying nitro, I wonder if they nitroed it. Did a nitro kind of pour on this one, which is definitely interesting for fruited sour. Kind of, I guess that could possibly bring in some of those kind of flavors like that, but I don't know. I think if you nitro something like that, you may be able to get pretty close to some of those like creamier kind of flavors, because that's what nitroing does. It kind of overall makes it a very, very creamy experience when it comes. That's my experience, at least when we nitroed our coffee chocolate stout. But let's look at the last one here. The last one, of course, is another Hoosier Brewing Company beer, which is their Pie Face PB&J, which is their blackberry jam variant, which I would definitely love to try some of their PB&J ones. That sounds absolutely delicious. But yeah, overall, similar beers list definitely surprised me on this one. Of course, if you want to try to find something similar to this, I could definitely recommend the Peach Cobbler from Drecker, from their Slang de Jure line, or any, if you're also looking for something that has the same kind of mouthfeel and kind of texture and all that kind of stuff, and just heavily fruited, and also having a little bit of like dessert spice to it. Of course, Drecker's always going to be on the first top of my list. I believe RIR Brewing Company is on the East Coast. They definitely do some of that kind of pastry, kind of sour kind of stuff. I'm not sure. Most of the stuff I know of from 450 North is definitely more on just the fruited side, so heavily fruited, not really even that dessert kind of realm. I may be wrong, but all the ones that I've seen from 450 North Brewing Company have been more on the fruited kind of realm instead of like the desserty kind of thing. But of course, now that it's a Hoosier Brewing Company beer, I can't recommend a Hoosier one just because we're reviewing one now, and I'm not going to recommend another Hoosier one, because if you most likely can't get your hands on this one, you most likely can't get your hands on any of the other Hoosier stuff. But I know Drecker, their distribution has gone a lot better. Of course, you have Energy City here in Illinois that has been getting some pretty good distribution going when it comes to getting their stuff available. But of course, if you want to get your hands on stuff from Hoosier Brewing Company, Tavour is always a really good option. Of course, you can get beers from like Drecker to Hoosier on there. So they have a bunch of breweries on there that make some heavily fruited stuff so that you can purchase from them. But overall, yeah, I would probably suggest anything from Drecker when it comes to their Slang de Jour line to be the most similar experience to this. Yeah. Ian, I don't know if you saw my Instagram when I did that post of that Nitro Coffee, like chocolate stout. Oh, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. To me, it tastes like a cold brew coffee. That's how, and it's like a really, really creamy cold brew coffee kind of flavor to it. There's absolutely no booziness. It doesn't taste like beer at all. It's kind of outstanding, and I love that beer. So, before we start looking at the ratings and all that stuff, let's see what they have as a description for this beer on tap. So what it says here is, we've taken loads of peach puree and combined with a touch of cobbler spices to give you a treat for the holidays reminiscent of a bowl full of peach cobbler. And what else they say? It's tart, peach forward to the taste and nose, and just a hint of the cobbler flavorings to keep it more for the sour lovers out there. So we hope you enjoy. So they only added a little bit of the cobbler kind of spices to it. They wanted to make this one like a peach cobbler, but they didn't want to make it too desserty to where they wanted to still bring in the fans of like the heavily fruited stuff, which I can appreciate, because sometimes you may be a fan of fruited sours when it comes to heavily fruited tart sours, but you may not be a fan of like the desserty cobblery kind of bakery kind of notes that come in it. So kind of making one that appeases to both, I think, is a really nice touch, and kind of knowing that Hoosier Brewing knows their audience pretty well. So looking back here, of course, like I stated before, it's a 6% ABV, so I would definitely consider this in the realm of being sessionable for sure. And let's see, pouring a little bit rest in the glass. And with over 602 ratings, this one has an average rating of 4.13 out of 5, which is pretty damn good. And let's see, looking at my friends list, yep, nobody on my friends list checked this one in. So, and of course, before we look at the global ratings and everything, of course, it's showing for me a nearby verified venue for picking up stuff from Hoosier Brewing Company is called the Home Kitchen and Lounge, which is the House of Music and Entertainment. So it's like a performance art venue, which looks like they have some tap beer over there. So I wonder if it's just a music venue that you can get some beers at. I don't think they have any like to-go kind of stuff available over there, but yeah, they looks like there's stuff from like Old Irving, Little Beaver, Pipework. So yeah, that's a nice little venue over there. Of course, you have your normal kind of stuff when it comes to like getting stuff from Haymarket. Let's see, Delirium. Of course, they have Angry Orchard, a cider company, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it looks like a pretty decent venue. Of course, when you're looking for a beer on Untappd, and if it goes by your login and your location and everything, they'll tell you a verified venue near you that may carry that stuff. So of course, if you want to go to the link in my description for this beer specifically, it might show you a place near you that you can pick this stuff up. But let's look over here at the global ratings and see. Just sipping a Brewdog Evil Twin Nitro Roaster Coaster. That sounds absolutely delicious. But looking here, let's see what the global ratings and what people had to say about this one. So this person here purchased it from Tavor and gave it a full 5 out of 5. He's drinking at the Best Western Douglas Inn and Conference Center. So I wonder if he's out of town somewhere and he either picked up some beers or he brought some Tavor beers that he got. Let's see, we got another 5 out of 5. So these two must have drank it together. Larry D and Michael O are probably somewhere where they drank it together. Let's see. We got a 4.5 out of 5. Doesn't say where he purchased it. He just says at the crib. So I'm wondering if that's just his house in Nobles. Well, it's saying at the dive bar in Noblesville, Indiana. But he gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Let's see. We got another 4.25 out of 5. We got a 2.75. Apparently he drank this at 1057 Brewing Company, which is in Knox, Indiana. So that's interesting. Sometimes breweries carry some other stuff, and maybe they brought it in for them to try. Let's see. We got this guy checked it in, didn't get a rating. We got a 4 out of 5 here. We got a 4.75. We got a 4 out of 5 saying peaches equal good. Let's see. There's one I was looking at earlier that I definitely want to read. A 4.25 here. We got a 4.5. Another 4.5. 4, 3, 4.5. Here it is. So this guy purchased his at the Bottle Shop in Grafton, which is in Grafton, Wisconsin. So knowing that this stuff's available in Wisconsin is really nice. But what he put here with the 4.25 saying, smoothie indeed. She's a thick one. Boys, peach and vanilla flavors all over the place. It is very sweet and tart, but nothing overwhelms. I had this yesterday, but forgot to check it in. Yeah, I heavily agree with what he says. There's nothing really overwhelming when it comes to flavors in this one. The peach is right up front, where you just get a nice tart peach. You get the sweetness from the vanilla. You get the cobbler kind of spices in there to make everything in there about this one not too overwhelming. It hits every market when it comes to what people are looking for. If you're a tart kind of fruited sour fan, you'll enjoy this one because it's not too cobblery. It's not too tart. If you like more of like the cobbler side and you're not a fan of the tartness of a fruited sour like that, you maybe enjoy this one just because you have enough of the cobbler flavors in there, and it's also not too tart. So I think this is really, really well balanced. So big shout outs to Hoosier Brewing Company for coming out this one. So with all that being said, let's start trying to figure out what we're going to be doing for ratings over here on Arden with this guy, because this beer is pretty damn delicious. Let me see if I can pour the rest of it in there, and I am able to. Look at that. And so first thing we're going to look at is can art, which of course a lot of the pie faces from Hoosier Brewing Company have a similar theme to it when it comes to just having a guy getting a pie in the face. Of course, most of the time, depending on what kind of flavor they're doing, they'll change what the pie looks like. So of course, it being a peach cobbler, he's getting like a peach cobbler kind of smash into his face. Of course, the pie face logo on there is really nice. Peach cobbler on the bottom. And then what they do is they take advantage of all the real estate that they have on the can art to kind of promote what the flavors you're going to be getting. So a lot of the peaches in the background is a really nice touch. Kind of lets you know when you're purchasing the stuff that this is the flavors you're going to be drinking. And plus, like that they have on the Keep Cold, Drink Soon. Hoosier Brewing Company logo is always really, really clean. And right on the top it says Sour Smoothie Ale. So yeah, really, really nice marketing on this one. So I don't know if I'm going to give this like a crazy high rating. This would definitely be something that catches my attention at a liquor store or bottle shop, just because the guy getting the pie slapped in the face I think is just pretty funny. So I'll probably give this a solid, I think I'm going to give this I've done a couple 4 out of 5 when it comes to can art lately from some of the stuff that I've reviewed these past couple of days. So yeah, I think this is going to be another 4 out of 5. I definitely do enjoy it. And of course they give you the warning, does contain sulfates in there, which is always a nice touch, of course. But other than that, yeah, can art's really nice. So let's see here. If I went over to Hoosier Brewing Company and got a flight, and this was involved in that flight, would I get another one? Yeah, I think I would. It's definitely, the peach flavors are nice. The tartness is nice. It's not too tart. It's not too cobblery. So I would definitely get another one of these if I had the opportunity. But looking here at Hoosier Brewing Company's website, they have a couple stuff available at the tap house right now if you want to check them out. They have a couple IPAs on tap right now, a bunch of just some New England hazies. They got some bourbon. They have an Irish dry stout. They got a nice pastry stout, a bourbon barrel aged pastry stout. They got some of your lighter stuff when it comes to wheat beers and what else? It looks like all wheat beers right now. Doesn't okay? They have a brown ale too. Okay, so but when it comes to the sours, which is the stuff that I've had from them, let's look and see what other sour variants they have. So they got some of the Chubby Bunny stuff available. They got a pie face here, which is the pie face black and blue. It's a blackberry blueberry cheesecake kind of pie face. And let's see. Then they got their fruit fusions. And then they got 2 other pie faces available. They got the blackberry pie 2022 edition, which is of course blackberry pie. And then they got a raspberry thumbprint cookie pie face, and then they got the spin to wins, and then the roll of fruit. So they have a bunch of stuff available when it comes to fruited sours over at the brewery right now. So if you want to check them out, if you're in the Greenwood area, they have a cool little location over there. It looks like they do axe throwing and all that kind of stuff. They have a food menu. Of course, they do cocktails if you're not a fan of beer, and you got also you can. Okay, so looking here, looks like they do pizzas by the slice and all that kind of stuff. Big ass pizzas, 20. They do 20-inch freaking New York style pizzas. They get boneless wings. So yeah, your normal kind of pub fare, kind of bar kind of food, pizza, breadsticks, wings, all that kind of stuff. So, but then of course they got cocktails here if you're not a beer fan, so you can get margaritas and old fashioned, Bloody Marys, tomahawk shots. I don't even know what those are. Coconut sunrises. So yeah, if you're not a beer fan, they have stuff for everybody as well. So that's a pretty cool thing that they have stuff available for people who aren't beer fans. But in my opinion, you should. If I worked at a brewery and if I owned a brewery, I'd be only serving beer. I wouldn't really serve cocktails just because what's the point? You're coming to a brewery to try beer. If you're not a fan of beer, why are you even here? That's the way I look at it. But I know you want to appease to everybody, get people that normally wouldn't come into a brewery to come in. So I understand that. But it's just how I think about it. So let's see here. What is my final rating going to be on this guy? I'm going to give this one a very, very... See, it's tough. I've definitely had better fruited sours than this. It's very well balanced. I wouldn't say it's up to like the point of like being as good as some of the Drecker stuff that I've had, especially from the Sling Mesure, just because I like that little bit more extra kick of a cobbler flavor. But I still think I'm going to give this a very, very solid 8 out of 10. Really, really good. If it was a little bit more of a cobbler, a little bit less tartness, a little bit more of that sweet kind of peach kind of flavor, I think I would have possibly given it even closer to like an 8.5 to possibly a 9. But I think a nice solid 8 is where I'm going to leave this one on this one. So big shout outs again to Hoosier Brewing Company for coming out with this one. I would definitely love to try some of their other stuff and do some reviews for their other Pie Face or even some of their IPAs. I definitely want to try some of their IPAs, so who knows. I might be able to get my hands on some of their stuff from Tavor if they ever drop on there again, so I'll just keep an eye out. But other than that, yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. So another solid beer from Hoosier Brewing Company, so if you ever want to check them out, link to their website is down in the description below. Link to the page where you can see the Untapped link for this beer is down in the description below as well. But other than that, you can shoot me a follow on all my other social media platforms. When it comes to, you can shoot me a follow on Instagram. That's where you'll see daily posts of what I'm reviewing with the hand checks and all that kind of stuff. And then you can see some other shenanigans that I'm doing over at the brewery as well. So, you, of course, give Fifth Brewing Company a follow on Instagram if you want to see more stuff of what we're doing over there. They'll be more updated than I am. You could also shoot me a friend request on Untapped itself. Of course, you guys hear me talk about Untapped all the time. I think it's a fantastic platform. You get to, I like to call it Facebook for beer drinkers. You get to check in beers, get badges, all the kind of stuff. It's just a really, really fun platform. Plus, you can find people like me, Ian, Dutch is on there, Kentucky's on there, Face Meat's on there. Sean and Lizzie, the Angry Hippies themselves, are on there. Who else for within the group, our little community there on there? Freedom Issue, I think, is on there as well. So there's a bunch of us on Untapped just checking in beers, having a good time. I know I can see Ian pretty frequently on there. So if you want to see what Mr. Ian Thomas is drinking, you could also shoot him a follow on Instagram and then shoot him a friend request on Untapped himself just to see what he's drinking. Because we all like to see what we're all kind of sipping on every now and then. But other than that, last but not least, if you want to mainly support me besides watch my videos and follow me on all my social medias, the main place to where you could support me the best is going to be my Patreon. You guys hear me talk about the Patreon all the time now. I do monthly 4-pack giveaways of Illinois exclusive craft beer over there, to where depending on the tier you join, you have better opportunities to win. I've already had at least one person who's won twice already, so they've gotten 8 beers from me from Illinois exclusive craft beers that I pick out myself. So if you want to possibly get in the opportunity of winning yourself some beer easily, a lot cheaper than what you're going to be buying it for, join the Patreon. Of course, the more people I get over there, the more opportunity we'll have to possibly get a Discord going, possibly get some merch out there when it comes to just shirts, maybe hoodies, golf polos. I don't know. I'm thinking about all kinds of stuff. And then possibly getting some coasters, koozies, glassware, all the kind of stuff. I want to kind of take care of the patrons when it comes to getting some exclusive things. So if you want to get the opportunity to get your hands on exclusive stuff that I come out with, Patreon is going to be the best way to do it. But other than that, that is what I have for you guys today. So again, thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are amazing. Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. And also thank you everybody on the replay who's going to be watching this as well. You guys are awesome. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch my stuff. And I think that is pretty much it. So I'm going to end this like I always do before we get the hell out of here. If you're going to drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. And I'll see y'all next time. Cheers.